Welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness, this is such a great moment. Welcome, Susie. Look at you.
Hey, hi Janelle. Good to see
It's
you.
really hard for me to contain my excitement. I'm working really hard on just being chill here, but I'm so happy to see your face. Your face makes my heart race with joy and just such a dear friend and have been such a pivotal person in my life. And I'm really thankful that you said yes to be here at this very lovely moment in my own life, but also in my community's life, Stronger Everyday Community, because obviously this is a movement we want to see happen all over the world for men and women to become emotionally healthy. And I'm just so happy to have you here. I was trying to remember, I think it was 2005. Is that the year we met and we roomed at a writers conference in Denver, Colorado?
It was somewhere right about then. It might have been 2006, but yeah, it was a while back.
Right. You already had one book published at that time, I think.
We were both newbies, and yeah, I had one just barely out, and I was so excited, and you were excited with me, which made it fun.
Oh, I was like your assistant. I was prepping you for TV and having so much fun, just
I
loving.
I
Remember
was
that?
on TV. I totally the one and only time I've been on TV.
So I did your things. I loved being an assistant and watching you shine like that. It was a great time. And we roomed together. We met each other through a mutual friend, a family member of yours. And I'm just always grateful for that introduction way back then. And since that time, what I love most is that you have published many books, and three in particular that I think I have loved most is Thunderdog, The Sky Below, and The Good, the Bad, and the Grace of God, which you wrote with Jep and Jessica Robertson, which some of you might remember as the Duck Dynasty. And you co-wrote these books, and that's a lot of what you have moved into. You're a journalist by nature. I love your journalistic background. You are such a pursuer of knowledge and academic, and now you have gone back to get your master's. Just tell us really a short why. Why at this juncture?
Yeah, I think you are totally right. I love knowledge. I'm an Enneagram 5. If you know
Oh, I didn't.
fives, yeah, we love
Of course you
knowledge.
are. Yes, that makes
and
perfect sense.
and really, since my teens, I've always loved God. I love the church. Have always just wanted to know more. I was always the kid in Sunday school who had my hand up, and they would have to tell me to put my hand down, asking too many questions. So, in my 50, I'm 55 now, in my 50s, so about 3 years ago, this feeling of wanting to go to seminary became very, very strong. And I was sitting in church one day, and the feeling just came on me like a blanket, just that
Oh,
moment where it just felt like I have to do this now. And I texted about 3 friends, said, I'm going to seminary, hold me to it during the service.
wow. Okay.
So I feel like I'm too old, but oh my goodness, I feel like a kid in a ice cream shop, and every
Um,
class feels like I get to have an ice cream sundae.
oh, lovely with the cherry on top. I hope. I love maraschino cherries. Lovely. So you've been in how long?
I am in my 3rd year. I have one more year to go with a master's in New Testament. I'm writing my thesis. I am a TA for one of the foremost New Testament scholars in the world. Makes me
Who is
so
that?
scared. I'm teaching a class February 1st. He's letting me teach one of his classes. And
Wow.
my topic is did women help write the New Testament?
Oh, well, that is the Susie I know and love. Never afraid of a challenge, never afraid to use her voice. And in the Stronger Everyday community and in Stronger Every Day, I am imploring and doing whatever I can to help not only myself, but others to begin to find their voice. And I equate voice with value. I've always known you in light of the book that this thing we're celebrating today. Um,
That
You,
little thing, that little
that little thing,
detail.
that little detail. I, the minute I met you, I thought this woman is such a rock. She is so stable. And I met you at a time when perhaps I was challenged. It's a nice way of saying it. When I was coming a bit unglued within the church, with some oppression against my voice.
I remember, I think that was very fresh and raw for you at that time. I remember that. I'm so glad we got to hang out because it was like instant sisterhood.
Instant.
Yeah.
Two complete strangers, only met through, like we said, but then it was, I was so drawn to your strength. And at that time, I really didn't understand what I understand now, because I also too went back and got my master's in my 50s. And so maybe there's someone listening today. There's a common thread here that it's never too late to rewrite your story. And so I went back and did that. And then in this process, this last decade, really began to understand secure attachment or attachment theory. And you now, I know, embody secure attachment. And when you embody secure attachment, you have a strong home base. You feel seen. You feel like you belong. You know your value. You know who you are. I did not have that. I had insecure attachment. I now have earned my secure attachment, as they say in the world of psychology. So it's possible. And you really embodied that and imaged that to me. And I think that's why I was so drawn to you. And as a woman, you were very secure in using your voice and challenging topics did not scare you and still don't. So I love that. I cannot wait to read your thesis, and probably will see that in book form, I'm guessing, in the future. I don't know, but maybe.
Hope so.
Crossed.
I do have to correct you on one little thing, Janell. And that is, I am not fearless. There is a lot of fear with shaking knees and all of that. But
paint that picture for me. Paint that picture for everyone that's listening.
Yeah,
it's a very big picture that I want to paint in being stronger every day. That does not look like what we, especially Westerners in this culture, think strength looks like. Strength, most of the time, looks like shaking knees and sweaty palms and racing heart. So go ahead and tell us what that looked like in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I come across as being strong and kind of serene, and maybe there is a core of that somewhere. I don't know. Thank you, Lord. But I do have a lot of fear around things that I do, around new things, starting seminary, around writing. I've written a number of books. It terrifies me, but I've come to just see it as a companion. This is just, fear is here. It's something that's going to be with me for my entire life. I know that, but I get to choose how I'm going to respond to it. I identify it when I'm in a healthy place and choose how I'm going to respond to it, and, go to the tools in my toolbox. And I loved reading, what people are saying about your book and how it's like a toolbox. And so
it is a little,
I have learned that. Yeah. And the hard things have helped me. Like after I met you, I went through breast cancer.
Yes, you did.
And, the fear that you have when you go through that is hard to describe unless you've been through it. But I then had to use the tools, had to learn new ones, had to grow in these areas. And so all of these hard things you learn and you grow, and people teach you, and then you take those to that next step.
What off the cuff, what tool has had the greatest impact in helping you face fear, move through fear, and just accept fear? There's a beautiful branch of psychology and counseling that I almost went into after my master's, and I use it a lot, but you have to kind of pick a real significant area because there's so much to study. And so it's called narrative therapy. Oh, it's lovely. And it uses story. So you just shaped that beautifully for all of us because you give fear an actual name. You create like, oh, hi, fear. Oh, I see that you've decided to show up and pull up a seat next to me today. And you make it a tangible, just you embrace it, instead of trying to run away from it. So is there one tool, two tools that were of greater impact for you, even today when you face your fear? What's your go-to?
Probably two are the most powerful for me. And I know that can be different for different people. The first one is worship.
Mm-hmm.
So when I am in the most despair or feeling the most hopeless, I choose to worship. And that may be music, that may be a verse, maybe talking to God, but I choose that even if I'm not feeling it, and I just do it. And it's saved me time and time again. Second one is community, because
Oh,
I felt somewhat strong. I had a good upbringing, solid parents. I was a cowgirl, which gives you a certain kind of core strength and confidence. I felt like that was going to be my life. And then things start to happen to you and you go to your knees. And, when you get knocked down, and that happened many times, and you can almost feel like you're just getting smashed.
yes.
And I learned to reach out for help
Mm.
to community, to friends, to pastors, to mentors, because I didn't reach out before. I thought it was weakness.
Yes, for sure. In my life, I have felt the same way and have learned the hard way that healing doesn't happen in isolation. It can't. Your
Mhm.
brain needs my brain, which needs another brain. We all connect, and neurologically. There's an actual sphere around all of us that, can do better life alone together. That's why Christ said, that's why the Gospels say, two are better than one. He sent them out in twos. There's so much evidence of that. And the last tool in Stronger Every Day is all about community and how powerful koinonia is, which is just having that sweet togetherness. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And now you're a community builder.
I never thought I would do this ever.
Oh, it's amazing. Tell us. I love that we met at a writers' conference and that now, da, 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 now you founded one, West Coast Christian Writers Conference, WCCW, and all of this information about Susy and these connections are going to be in the chat. So they're all there. Don't worry. You're not going to miss any pieces of information. So tell us about how that came about, if you would.
I think part of it is showing up. There was I can't remember who it was, Kathy Lee Gifford, who said, you
Oh,
get up, you dress up, and you show up. So I would show up at my local writers conference every year for a few years. And finally, one time I sent an email to the organizer, who was a pastor, care pastor. And I said, if you ever need a last minute substitute, because I know people will cancel, if you ever need a last minute substitute, I'm happy to step in. I'm just up the street, happy to do it. And he took me up on it,
wow.
and I just showed up. Someone had canceled. I stepped in, taught their topic my way, but taught it, and began to be a faculty member. I think my first real workshop I taught was Fear Not Writing or something like that, overcoming the fear of writing. So fear. And
Yes.
when this organizer, this pastor, wanted to retire, he needed to either close the conference down, which was an option, or hand it over to someone. And this was his baby. And it really did feel like he was handing me his baby that he'd been nurturing for 20 years. So I called 4 friends, and having learned this lesson of community and help and teamwork, I said, will you do this with me? Because I cannot do it without you. So the 5 of us took it over, renamed it, and we've been doing it for 6 years now. And the team has changed. We're now a larger team, and we just became a nonprofit. And we're doing all kinds of new things. I like to start new things. They don't always work, but
Yes. I'm a generator as well, but yes, that's a vice and a virtue. But you have stuck with this, and it's
yes. My favorite part of it, honestly, the core of what we do is 5 friends started it.
Yeah.
So when you come to the conference, you become one of our friends, and we
Mm.
are a group of friends trying to figure out this writing thing together and helping each other. So
Yes.
that's what we do.
Group of great friends, great women, women of great integrity. Yes, it's a great blend. So learn all about that on the website wccw.com. Isn't that right? Or is it
It's
West
West
Coast?
Coast Christian Writers, yeah, .com.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your vision now, like for that? Where are you, and when is the next conference? Tell us a little bit about that, because I know we have writers and authors on today, and those who are wanting to step in that brave way towards becoming an author. So tell us more about that.
Yes, we have a conference coming up end of February, the 26th and 27th of February. It is online this year. Usually we meet in person. It's online. Because it's online, we're taking advantage of it. We have 60 workshops instead of our
Oh,
typical 30, because we can get teachers from all over. And our attendance will be international, which is really fun, people from other places. And I'm just super excited. We have two main things that we are working on as an organization. One is diversity. So we have two amazing keynote speakers who are both women of color who are going to bring it. I mean, they're both amazing writers and speakers, Marlena Graves and Vivian Mabuni. And
lovely.
the other thing we're working on as an organization is writers fellowships. So
Oh,
we're in the middle of starting, we've already done a little bit of it, but a grant program to
mm,
give tangible help to writers. So
love it.
maybe a writer who needs childcare for a month to finish her book proposal, someone who needs to go away on a retreat, someone who needs her laptop repaired, these
Wow,
kinds of
that's
things.
fabulous.
So yeah, we're working on that, and I'm super excited about that. There's no other Christian conference I know of that does that. I know colleges do it.
Mhm.
Some sorts of organizations do that type of thing, but
Yeah.
um, I'm excited about pioneering that and helping writers. Sometimes just that one help, getting your laptop fixed is going to be the help that you need.
Oh my goodness. I'm just going to share this story. I remember going to Denver, and it was my first foray into meeting editors and agents and all of that. And it was so overwhelming. And I sat outside our hotel room because I just couldn't go inside because I was absolutely falling apart. And I just called my oldest daughter and was like, I'm going home. I can't do this. I just can't do this. And then I went in the room, and you were just so assuring. And so, what I love and what I envision for even in the movement of this book is that we do stand shoulder to shoulder and heart to heart and hand in hand. There's no competition. There's no comparison. We all have so much to bring to the table. And so that's what I also, I'm so grateful that you allowed me to lean on your strength at that period of time, because that's the beauty. When one of us is weak, we have to lean on others to find our strength. And so I thank you for that again. So I know so many people are going to find strength in that conference. So I'm looking forward to it myself. I can't wait. So thank you.
Yay. And you're going to come teach for us next year, right?
Oh, yes. I was just getting ready to go. Well, if you have someone cancel, I would never be that brave to say that. Like, you did that. See, that's who you are. You're like, I'm just going for it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? They say no.
Why
Right?
not?
Why
Why
not?
not?
My famous two words, exactly. Why the heck not now? Right? So yes. So absolutely, I will receive that invitation with great pleasure. Where will we all be next year at this time? Right.
Yeah,
So thank you.
I'm excited.
So I'm so glad to have you here to chat about my book.
Yes,
Um,
I'm so excited too. Oh my goodness. Stronger every day.
yes. Don't you
It's a
love the
journey.
cover? I love the cover so
It
much.
is beautiful. So is the cover the Japanese
Yes.
dish that you write about? Okay.
Yes. So it is in the introduction. It's called Konsugi. And Konsugi art is an ancient form of art the tale is all in the introduction, so I won't go into it, but it's repairing precious things that are broken, things that mean something to you. So there was an ancient emperor who his favorite teacup broke, and the tale is, there's several versions of it, but that he went to his artisans to fix it, and they didn't really do it, so he sent it away. And when it came back, it was just a work of heart and a work of art, and it's a gold lacquer. And so the ancient tale goes that, the light breaks through the broken places. As Rumi said, the light breaks through our broken places. Many have that in different versions. And so it's been very important to me since I found out about it. And I felt like it had to be in this book because it images, like we were talking before, it images about strength. That really, who was it? Patsy Claremont back in the day, cracked pots,
That's right. That's
right. Remember that? Geraniums were on the cover because I love geraniums. But when the light shines through those cracks, and my daughter Candace gave me a beautiful Konsugi lamp for Mother's Day, and I write about that in the intro. And so before every session that I have with my clients, and before any time of meditation or prayer or thoughtfulness of my own, I light that, and I love to light it at night because the light just beams through the cracks, and it's just a reminder, that we all are just have our places of brokenness, as you just shared, and that is what makes us, in all honesty, more beautiful. That's not comforting when you are in a broken place. You don't really want to say, oh, one day you're going to be so beautiful with all your cracks and brokenness, but it is the beauty and the glory of how God works in our life too. And so, yeah, that's in the introduction. And I have some really fun things coming down the road that have to do with Konsugi. So stay tuned. That's a tease. Yes.
I've been watching the Great Pottery Throwdown. I think it's set in England. It's this beautiful show that it's a competition. All these potters come together and they're given assignments. And literally every piece they make has flaws. They may break when they're fired, or they break on the wheel, or, they do something wrong and it doesn't. I just, that reminds me, these beautiful pieces made by these master potters, everyone is flawed.
Everyone is flawed, and it's embracing our flaws and being okay with that. A huge part of the Heart Lift method, which I introduce again in Stronger Every Day, is about bringing our past, our flaws, our pains, our traumas, bringing that into the present long enough to make peace with it, to make peace within, and then to put it away, so that we can move forward into our vision of victory, our future freedom. And, we have to make meaning of our past. It's proven that if we have to do that, if we don't make sense of our past and consolidate it, then it's very difficult to live in our true, what I like to say, our God-breathed identity, our essence.
What are some of the early childhood experiences or situations that cause these, horrible places of brokenness as adults? I mean, we talked about cancer. I know you have stories. What are some of these things?
Well, I always like to frame things from our childhood in this way. We have all got some form of trauma: little t, middle T, big T trauma. When we're born into the world, that's so traumatic. All of a sudden we're out of, from silence into the bright lights of hospitals and water, or wherever you choose to have your baby. So, all of us will experience some form. And right now we're experiencing a global trauma. We're experiencing a national trauma. The church is experiencing a transformative trauma. How are we going to do this? How is this all going to look? So I think that many of the experiences that I have had the privilege to work with in my clients and in my own life, in my own family, would be simple things to big things. It can be a teacher who said a really hurtful, negative narrative over your life. You know, I was told to stand on the white line in my Catholic school in the first grade on my 6th birthday for talking too much. And it was the white line that went to the convent, and they would bring the class by, and you were basically shamed.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. It's like
And
the Puritans putting the person in the stocks
yes,
and you
yes,
ridiculed them.
correct. And I believe at that moment, because I know that I was a good little girl. I just was pretty vivacious. And so I think that it just wasn't acceptable to be too joyful or too happy. And so I believe at that time, you're too little. You know, the thing about our childhood is we're too small to make any sense of it. You know, we're so innocent and we're so open that as I looked back on it, I obviously absorbed the shame. I didn't know that I was absorbing it, but it doesn't feel good, you know, to stand on a line. And, you know, I have, my sister was in 8th grade at that time. And so she was my witness. And so she retells the story to me so that I don't think I made it up, because a lot of times you think that really didn't happen. And so I think in childhood, we absorb these things, whether it's parents who are yellers and screamers and fighters, divorce. There's so many different things, you know, coaches on the sidelines, so many things. And we just absorb these unhealthy behaviors, these unhealthy emotions. And I guess at that moment inside of my body, I went, it is not okay to be too happy. It's
Oh,
not okay to get excited, because I was probably excited about something. And I know it's hard to imagine, but I think that I absorbed it, and somewhere my defense came, my armor started to build on me that, you know, don't make too much, don't draw too much attention to yourself, because it's not going to end well. So I'm sure many who are listening can relate to some story in their history of hurts, is what I call that in our Heart Lift method, the history of hurts, where you may have absorbed something and then that creates a whole little loop of negative feedback and inner voices that are going. So a huge part of Stronger Every Day is something called, and I'll just go ahead and mention this since we're talking about it, memory reconsolidation. And it's really important to be able to consolidate any of these emotions that have that negative energy on them and bring it into freedom. And so you'll read all about that in Stronger Every Day. And I cannot wait, because I think it's a very pivotal tool for all of us who have been stuck in an area and just keep tripping over the same thing, you know, and you're like, why can't I stop doing this? And you know here what to do, but you just can't get it here. So I'm very excited about this tool of memory reconsolidation that I introduce in the book.
is that a heartboard or is a heartboard something else? Because I saw this word heartboard and I just was instantly intrigued. So I know about a vision board. I don't know what a heartboard is.
A heartboard is examining your heart. Like Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart. I write a lot about that in Overcoming Hurtful Words, my last book, but reintroduce it again in Stronger Every Day. And yes, just finding, I'm looking to find someone who can create one for us, but a board where you examine your inner life, an inner vision.
Wow.
Not really like a dream board or a vision board, but do you like who you are and who you're becoming? And if not, what, like maybe your heart board, maybe there's an area where you flip your lid a lot. You react and not respond. A little bit more anger than you'd like to have in your life. And you really don't like that about yourself. You know, personally for me, it would be comparing myself with others. I've done it my whole entire life. And so, you know, I got real serious about it inside of my heart board. Why do I do that? where did that start? And create this board of what you would like to see. The the beautiful opposite of comparison is acceptance. And in acceptance lies peace. So when you do this heart work and you become more and more aware of how God breathed his life in you to be, then you come to a place of real, true acceptance of yourself. And really the comparison dissipates. It really does. It's not, these aren't easy things that I'm talking about, but they're empowering. Yeah.
I love that. So much better than a vision board with a fancy car on it or a big house.
You can have those too, but I just, want to go a little deeper.
So what is a shame-filled story that you have? Was that the story of standing on the line?
Like asking the deeps.
We don't have time to waste here, Janell. We have to get right to it.
Me too. Oh, so in Stronger Every Day, I went back and forth with sharing a very shame-filled story in my early 20s. And I thought, why would I go that far back? But I've heard many beautiful teachers and theologians say, you really shouldn't teach anything until you've fully walked through the experience yourself. And I thought, well, I have definitely walked through this one and moved from the language of shame into the language of grace. So it was my senior year in college. I was engaged, didn't have the ring yet, verbally engaged, and I was a beauty pageant winner of my community. So I was going to Miss Virginia, and I was a very public figure on the campus, and I thought I was pregnant. And I just, like, what is this going to do to my life, my mother, this community at home of littles that look up to me? And so it was the precipice for sure. It was the threshold, whatever you want to say. It was my entrance into really seeking God. So it was a tight spot, as I speak about it in the book. It was a tight spot. It was a squeeze. It was
difficult to manage, right? Like you don't have it all together at that point.
Oh no, and I really imaged that I did. I can do that well. Learned how to do that well by performing on stage. So there's a stage Janell and then an authentic Janell, and I'm really glad that they're now integrated, and I'm grateful for the work. And that there's just one of me. Oh dear. No, go away. Okay, I'm back. Technology. I was coming unglued because I just also cared way too much what other people thought. So I was sitting in the student, as they called it back then, the student center, waiting for the doctor to come in. As I revisited this, I thought, did they not have pregnancy tests back then? Why did I go, to the student center? But I don't know. It was, early 80s. And I was just sitting there and I said, God, just get me out of this tight spot, please. And I had already been really being drawn towards God. I think God was really calling me and chasing after me at that time in my life, the very first part of my senior year in college. Had a couple friends that were just sharing beautiful relationships with Christ in their own life. And so he walked in the door and he just said, Miss Shedler, you're not pregnant, and handed me some birth control pills. And I said, I'm not going to need those. He goes, you probably will. I said, no, I won't need those. And so I walked from the student center to my sorority house, which was quite a distance, went up in my room, saw no one on the way, and just laid down on the floor and gave my life over to a God who loves me more than I could ever express. And so I'd never really shared that story because of the shame blanket that was so heavy around it. I stayed away from my college. I had not been back to my college in 30 years because of it. And I think that I also had a shame culture in a lot of my childhood formation. So obviously I shared the other story. So I think I had to finally come to grips through many beautiful teachers in my life, teaching me what shame was and how to really move beyond that. And so I share that story, and I share how I moved beyond it and how I then was invited to go back to that college and speak to over 400 college women.
Wow.
And so when I went back, I re-walked that walk from the student center to my sorority house. This is 30 some years later, and transformed that walk of shame into a walk of grace. And was so overwhelmed with that experience. And then when I got home, a young girl, not to give away too much, called me because I gave them all my phone number. Not sure what I was thinking, but she called and she said, I'm in the same tight spot you were in, Janell. And he's on his way over, the young man, and I'm going to take a test when he gets here. And so I said, okay. So it was such a full circle moment.
Wow.
To be able to offer her grace. And you have to read the end in the book.
That's right. Because the whole point of these stories is so that you can read these and enjoy this yourself. And just looking, you gave me some questions to ask. I want to ask every single question.
Hey,
I want to hear all the answers. So yeah, the book is so powerful. First of all, I love that you have 9 tools, because that immediately says practical. So this is not just a theoretical, overview of all your problems and why you have problems. This is a book.
I'm a real nuts and bolt girl. So I know that I've been called a practical theologian. Wasn't really a compliment. Sorry for all the bells and whistles. I just want to make sure that when someone picks up this book, the real impetus for this book initially was when I finished writing Overcoming Hurtful Words, I was left going, well, now how do I live in my new narrative? Like, I rewrote a lot of my story, but I didn't know how to live healthy. I didn't know how to live with secure attachment. And I often say it's really hard to be happy if you've never been happy, like never known who you are, never understood your value, never known you belong. You're always searching for your identity and all of these other things. And I had done that my whole entire life. Disordered attachments, church, whatever, sports, beauty pageants, dance, ambition. And, God wants us to be so happy and safe in our skin. Oh. So I wanted readers, I wanted those that are in my community to be able to have a real guide that when you feel this way, this is why. And the other reason was that as a therapist, as a client, I'm trying to offer a better repair method, which is what they call Konsugi. It was a better repair method. And so I want anyone and everyone who comes to this book to be able to spend a lot less time in therapy. So many come to me and they're like, I've been in therapy since I was 20 and they're in their 70s. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. So that kicked me in the butt to kind of research and go, what tools could I offer myself and my clients so that they know, oh, I have an attachment issue. That's what that is. That's why I do this, because I don't have secure attachment. That tool for me changed my life. Once I understood why I couldn't attach to people in a healthy way, why I didn't miss people, so I wanted to offer these 9 significant, beautiful tools that when you know it, when you possess it, life is different. Life becomes far more meaningful than the life that we are actually living now.
Wow. So. This seems like it would be an amazing book to do with friends, to do with a group of people.
Yes. Community.
Yes, go through this together,
Mhm.
cheer each other on.
Yes. Do their heart boards together.
Mhm.
It's definitely a fabulous community based, and also for leadership teams and the such. So,
Mhm.
yep.
I love it. I
Thank
love
you,
it.
Susie. Oh my goodness. I could talk forever, but we'll talk more down the road
We
for
need to do
sure.
this more often. I was just
I
thinking
know.
that.
It's so fun. So I think that I am going to lead you guys right now. And please stay with us, Susie, if you want. I want to lead you in just a short little exercise to kick off. I believe many of you already have the book. Um, so I'm going to just go through this and then we'll take some questions and see if you have any questions for us. So a huge part of Stronger Every Day is intention setting, living life with intention, strategic intention. And as I have come to learn, intentions need to be positive, they need to be first person, and they need to be present tense. So at the beginning of every tool, you will have an intention. For example, tool one, step across the threshold. We're going to learn about meaningfulness. It's something called eudaimonia, and it's the pursuit of living a meaningful life. And that has been proven through positive psychology and so much study that those who are the most fulfilled in life are those who feel and live and move in their meaning. Why am I here? What is my why, as Simon Sinek says? So the intention of tool one is I step across the threshold of my meaningful new story. And to me, the greatest lesson that I have walked away from this time of research and study and practical experience with my clients is that meaningfulness is found in the simplest of things, the simplest of things. Everyday epiphanies, I call them. When we begin to be aware of what's unfolding around us, the beauty, the joy, the smile on someone's face, the words, the flowers, the birds, the tree, when we're eyes wide open, hands wide open, first thing in the morning to, take my breath away today, God. So I want you to set an intention. Here are my pretty little intention cards. These are the ones I give to my clients. I love them very much. And I want you to just take some time, maybe while we're doing the Q&A, and consider what you would like to see happen as a result of this journey through Stronger Every Day. It might be as simple as I become stronger and stronger every day of 2021. I just wrote a very specific, I like the model of SMART goals to be very specific and measurable and attainable, timely. I wrote, may the words of this book spread from house to house around the globe. That's my intention for today. So, what would you like to see happen? Typically, when you set an intention, it's a little far reaching, you know? It's not as like, oh, that's going to happen, no problem. There's usually a little resistance or some kind of I don't know how that's going to happen. But stay true to it and just speak it out. Speak those powerful healing words out in the world, out into the universe. And some call that manifestation. That is exactly what the New Testament calls manifesting God's glory. We have to set out those intentions and speak those words of life and very personal words that we want to see happen. And I cannot tell you how many amazing stories I have in my own life and from my clients and readers' lives about their intentions manifesting and them seeing such beautiful things unfold in their life. So take some time to do that. And what I would really like you to do is write it out or write yourself a little note. Here's my intention. Put it in the envelope, put a stamp on it, return label, mail it to yourself, So in a few days, you're going to get it in the mail. I'd love to do it if we were in a way that we could do this. We would do one for 30 days. We would do one for 60 days. We would do one for 90 days. We would do one for 120 days. And you would give them to me and I would mail them. But we're virtual. We can't do that. So write yourself a note. It's a really fun practice to do as well, to just do that every now and then and pop it in the mail. And then 2 or 3 days later, you get it and you go, wow, yeah, I wrote that and I believe that. I want that to happen. So that's just a little exercise I want you to really commit to doing today and setting down that intention of what you would like to see, in what way you would like to see yourself become stronger every day in 2021. So I think we're going to take some questions and see if anybody has questions, Christina.
Thank you very much. And you know what? I'm going to start sending myself some messages. I'm going to start writing to myself in the future and setting,
Yes.
I got some good intentions set for today too.
Exactly.
But at this time, for everybody who's watching us, you can feel free to post your questions for Janell. And if you're watching us on Zoom, you can click on the chat bubble, which is at the bottom of your screen, and you can type in the messages there. And for our viewers on Facebook, we are live. Please feel free to submit questions by writing a comment under the video. So there's a little button that says comment, and you can write your questions, and we'll get to answering those. But the first question that I have, so you touched on this a little bit, both you and Susy. So the book is titled Stronger Every Day, 9 Tools for an Emotionally Healthy You. And of the 9 tools, which one do you think has made the most impact on your life? So you touched on this a little bit, but I'd love to hear a bit more.
Go ahead, Susy. Give us some nuts and bolts here.
Exactly.
I probably would go back to community. And what I'm thinking in terms of community is, there's an aspect of it where it's just emotional friendship and support. You're my friend. I love you. I'm here for you. But there's also the tangible kinds of help. And sometimes when you're in a really dark place, a desperate place, the tangible things can mean the most because words just seem to be floating.
Yes.
So for me, when I've been stuck, you mentioned being stuck. I've been stuck different times, and feels so human. Someone offering, come stay at my house for a weekend. They give you a pair of socks and make you some muffins or something. Someone sends you a gift. You sent me tea once.
Yes.
And it was just
Irish
beautiful.
breakfast. It's your favorite.
That's right. As a celebration. A letter, writing a postal letter. I think these are the things that are hard to do when we're busy or preoccupied.
Right.
But it's such a gift, and there's something tangible about that can mean so much. So to me, that has been very important in my life and something I'm trying to learn to be better at for other people.
Yes, for sure. I have to agree with that. I think that I've already shared that for me, secure attachment, understanding attachment theory was critically important. So let me shape it like I shaped it in the book. That was very helpful to me. There's a beautiful story in the Gospels about the wise man who builds his house on the rock and the foolish man or woman who builds the house on sand. And it sinks and it doesn't last when the winds come against it. So when I was shaping the secure attachment chapter in this book, a lot of the theme of this book has a lot to do with building a house, construction, emotional and good bones, like a house has good bones. And when you have not had that beautiful gift given to you of being in a house that was built on a rock, so an alcoholic family, a divorced family, an angry family. I have many very difficult stories that I work with in family systems when they've come from angry families, unresolved anger that's passed from generation to generation. So when you haven't had that privilege of being born into a family that's building their house on the rock, then you have to start rebuilding. and start from the good bones. And as I challenge in the book, I believe you have really good bones, you guys. I believe you got emotional good bones, and that when you set your mind and you become really the very most important part here is just to go, I want to be better. I want to be better. I want to live better. I love the word better. It has a beautiful meaning. But once you make that proclamation, set that intention, then you become aware. And to me, awareness is everything. Once awareness is a dangerous thing, because once you're aware, then you're going to be held accountable to it. So I think that for me, once I became aware of the shadow sides, as we would say, like Susy was mentioning, the Enneagram, I talk about that in the book. When you start looking at those unhealthy habits or behaviors or communication skills in your life, once you're aware of it, then you can change. And it's little steps. Like, I just did it again. I just compared myself again. Oh my gosh. Now, Janell Rardon, I look in the mirror, I have a little chit chat with myself, and I do better the next day. So, because once we know better, we can do better.
I was going to ask, what's the first step in becoming stronger emotionally? But this is the nuts and bolts of it right here. And speaking of the nuts and bolts, we do have a question from Dawn in Virginia. So Dawn is asking, how would you do this for a leadership team? So, for example, would you your ideal vision? So book study, 30 days, 60 days. Tell us a bit about that.
I think you could do it in 30 days. I think it could be speed dial. You could take 30, 60, 90, you could take a year, 9 months. My favorite way to begin in a group is with the whole study of the intention setting, of being strategic and talking about let me rewind. There's a couple things, but understanding the Enneagram is also very, very helpful with a leadership team. And you will address that in the book. So that I believe is most helpful too. But I would say that really coming together as a group. So in the book, I give this equation: me plus you equals we. So we want a healthy me, a healthy you, so we can have a healthy we. So with a leadership team, you're going to start with everyone setting a very strategic, personal intention. This is what I want to see happen in my life, in my spheres of influence, and then set a strategic intention as a group. It's something my husband and I have done in our marriage. We will set an intention for the week on Sundays and speak that intention as a we. He'll have his, I have mine, and then we have a we one. So I would start there. I think that's a great foundation for rebuilding and building a strong team. Susy, do you have anything to add to that?
No, except I'm taking notes and I'm going to bring this back to my team.
I love it.
Why didn't I think of this before, Janell?
Oh, because you needed me.
I needed you.
Because our brains work better when we work together. They just do.
I got to say, I'm moderating and I feel more like an attendee right now. I'm also taking a bunch of notes and I'm learning, and I'm learning some good,
we have energy.
Yeah, exactly. The nuts and bolts and all of this. And so Susy and Janell, this has been fantastic. We're just coming up to our time. But Janell, it seems like you have another. Oh, great. I almost forgot that one of the most important parts.
Right. So I said, bring your favorite beverage, your hot tea, wherever you are. Like in Uruguay, where my oldest lives, it's hot, it's summer, your LaCroix, there we go. I brought a little spot of wine. It's 5 here. The sun's going down. You can see it getting darker in my room. And so I just want to say cheers. Cheers to your support in my life. Cheers to my Stronger Everyday community and my family, and just cheers to friends like Susy, who have been there in times when I needed a shoulder to lean on and to offer guidance, and then just to be a joy in my life. So to all of us, here's a cheers. If you have a teacup, you can clunk it. Just raise this to you, that you are going to become stronger than ever every single day in 2021. Stay tuned. Lots more coming. Bless you.
Blessings on this book.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us today. And if you'd like to order,
Christina, thank you so much. Can I just say one quick thing before we all go? So this little sweet Christina. Okay, I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna, I tried to be really contained, but I'm gonna just go off chart here real quick. As you know, my mother passed in August with COVID-19 complications. August. And I was looking, because it was a COVID funeral, for a virtual event planner, someone to do a virtual funeral. And blessed by Christina's beautiful company, New Narrative, came up. And I called her, and it was instant. And we ended up deciding, with the family, to do it a different way. But I knew that she had been brought into my sphere of influence for such a time as this. And I'm so grateful. And I want to say thanks to my mom, because she brought us together.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure to listen to the both of you and listen along with you. I'm looking forward to reading my own to reading Stronger Every Day, and so excited that it's out. I'm going to post in the chat the link to pre-order, or link to order now. We're not
out of pre-order
anymore.
Today.
As well as more information about Janell and more information on Susy. Thank you both for being here. Thank you all for watching. And as we end today's event, please enjoy some music from the Stronger Everyday playlist, created by none other than the person on my left, maybe your right, Janell Rardon. So thank you all. Enjoy the evening. And without further ado, we'll get to listening to this incredible music.
Bless you.
Lost and weary traveler, searching for the way to go. Stranger, heavy-hearted, longing for someone you know. May you find a light. May you find a light. May you find a light to guide you home. Travelers searching everywhere you go. Strangers who are searching, longing deeply to be known. May you find a light. May you find a light. May you find a light to guide you home. lift my eyes up to the hills. This my morning song, where my strength comes from. I lift my eyes up to the hills. This my evening song, where my help comes from. This is the gravity of love. Just as the moon follows the sun, you're all around me. You're holding everything. This is the hope of every land. Just as the universe expands,